Could the simple act of renewing your driver's license this year be the thing that quietly takes your freedom away without you ever seeing it coming? The rules are shifting right now in ways most people your age have never been warned about, and a single missed detail could cost you your independence. If this video speaks to you or someone you love, take a moment to like, subscribe, and share it. Your one click could be the thing that saves a family member, a neighbor, or a close friend from a sudden shock they never expected. For most people, the day they get their driver's license feels like a massive door swinging wide open. It is the very first taste of true personal freedom. It is the first time you can go exactly where you want, when you want, without needing to ask anyone else for a ride or a favor. Over the decades that follow, that small piece of plastic in your wallet slowly becomes something much larger than itself. It becomes the essential bridge between you and your doctor when an appointment cannot wait. It is the path to the grocery store, to Sunday morning worship, to the quiet park bench where you watch your grandchildren play. It is the dignity of being able to care for your own life without having to constantly rearrange someone else's schedule. So when something threatens that bridge, it does not feel like a minor policy update. It feels deeply personal. And right now, that bridge is being quietly rebuilt behind the scenes in states all across this country. Far too many older drivers are about to cross it without knowing the new layout, leaving them completely vulnerable to losing their ability to drive. The most important thing to grasp at the very start is that this is not a single, sweeping national law forced onto every state at the exact same moment. That is where so much of the online confusion and fear-mongering comes from. There is no federal mandate taking licenses away from every driver over a certain age. Instead, state after state has been updating its own individual vehicle codes little by little. Some of these updates are barely noticed when they pass through state legislatures. Others are written in dense, bureaucratic language that is incredibly easy for the average person to miss. But when they begin to take effect for people renewing this year and in the years just ahead, the impact can be sudden and severe. And for someone who has driven safely with a clean record for 50 years, sudden changes can be incredibly jarring. This quiet shift in policy is happening for a reason that most reasonable people can understand on some level. Our roads are busier and faster than they have ever been in human history. Cars are more advanced, filled with distracting screens, and driving patterns have become much more aggressive. At the same time, people are living longer, healthier lives, which means they are driving much later into their senior years than at any point in the past. Most of this longevity is something to celebrate, but it has also led state motor vehicle agencies to ask a very difficult, very delicate question. How can they help keep the public roads safe while still respecting and protecting the independence of older drivers who remain fully capable behind the wheel? The answer they have chosen in many places is not to remove licenses in bulk based on age alone. Instead, they have decided to adjust the checkpoints along the way. Those checkpoints are the 5 changes we are going to walk through today. Each one can be navigated with ease, but only if you know they exist before your renewal day arrives. The first of these major changes is one that seems incredibly small on paper, but can feel absolutely massive in the moment. More states are requiring a formal vision check at an earlier age than they ever did in the past. For decades, many drivers could renew their licenses for term after term without ever having to read a single line on an eye chart at the office. Now, in a rapidly growing number of states, that convenience disappears the moment you reach your mid to late 60s. The reason this catches so many people completely off guard is not because their vision has suddenly failed overnight. It is because they simply never expected the rule to apply to them at their current age. They walk into the office expecting the routine they have always known. They sign a few papers, they take a quick photo, and they expect to walk out with a fresh license valid for years to come. Instead, they are suddenly asked to look into a viewer and read an eye chart in lighting that is not their own. After a stressful drive across town on a day when their eyes are a little tired. In that split second, panic and doubt can creep in. Even for drivers who see perfectly fine in their normal day-to-day lives, that unexpected moment of stress can be enough to cause a failure on the vision screener. The best protection against this is not to worry, but to prepare for it on your own terms. A simple visit with your personal eye care professional, weeks before your renewal, can confirm exactly where your vision stands. That way, if your prescription needs a tiny adjustment, you have plenty of time to handle it calmly. And if everything is perfectly fine, you walk into your renewal appointment with quiet confidence. You know that one checkpoint will not catch you by surprise because you already solved the problem before you ever walked through the door. This brings us to the second change, which builds directly off of that shift. Many states are quietly pulling back the very conveniences that made license renewal easy for so many years. For a long time, most of us could renew our licenses by mail or with a few clicks online from the comfort of our own living rooms. But for a growing number of older drivers, those remote options are being completely eliminated once they reach a specific age threshold. Instead, they are being forced to show up in person at the local office. This is not being done simply to make life difficult for seniors. In many cases, it is the only way for the state agency to complete the physical checks, like the vision test, that are now expected at that stage of life. The real trouble is that this change rarely comes with a grand announcement in the mail. It agency to complete the physical checks, like the vision test, that are now expected at that stage of life. The real trouble is that this change rarely comes with a grand announcement in the mail. It simply appears as a change in eligibility rules in the fine print. So, a driver who has renewed online for the last 15 years clicks the same familiar button on their computer, only to be met with an unexpected error message. Or even worse, they assume the system is down, put it off, and realize too late that they missed the step requiring them to appear in person. That small logical assumption can create a massive headache. A license that has lapsed, even for just a few days, can bring immense stress, insurance complications, and legal vulnerability that no one should have to face. The solution is simple. Never assume the rules are the same as they were the last time you renewed. A quick check of your state's current in-person age requirements, done a couple of months before your license expires, will tell you exactly how you need to prepare this time around. The third change is one that quietly multiplies the impact of all the others. Renewal cycles are growing significantly shorter for older drivers. When you're younger, it is common to hold a driver's license that is valid for 8, 10, or in some states, even 12 years at a stretch. That long window means you might only have to think about the motor vehicle department once or twice in an entire decade. But for many older drivers now, that window is shrinking to 5 years, to 3, to 2, or in some cases, even down to a single year once you reach a certain age milestone. On the surface, that might just sound like an annoyance or extra paperwork. But in reality, it means every single one of those new checkpoints comes around far more frequently. The vision check that used to be a once-in-a-decade event can now arrive every 24 months. The in-person requirement, when it applies to you, must be dealt with over and over again. And with a much shorter timeline, it becomes incredibly easy for an expiration date that once felt far away to sneak up on you before you realize it. Life is busy. Doctor appointments, family gatherings, yard work, and the unexpected surprises of daily life all take up valuable space on the calendar. An expiration date that is only 2 years out can pass in what feels like a single blink of an eye. One of the kindest things you can do for yourself today is to pull your physical license out of your wallet, look closely at the exact expiration date printed on the front, and write it down somewhere you will actually see it on a regular basis. We have covered a lot of ground, and there is still much more you need to know to protect your mobility. If you are finding this information clear, helpful, and easy to understand, please take a quick second to support the channel. By hitting the like button, subscribing to our community, and sharing this broadcast with the people in your neighborhood, you help us keep producing these plain English guides. It only takes a second, but it makes a massive difference in keeping our community informed and independent. Now let us turn our attention to the fourth major change, which is perhaps the most critical one of all because of how easily it can lead to a sudden suspension. This is the area of medical reviews and safety referrals. It is vital to understand that this system is not designed to target older drivers unfairly. Its purpose is to create a formal pathway to ensure that everyone on the road is physically and mentally capable of operating a vehicle safely. However, the way the system is implemented can catch even the most careful drivers off guard. Most states have a process where a medical professional, a law enforcement officer, or in some cases, a concerned family member can submit a formal request for a driver to be reviewed. Once a referral is made, the state agency will send a notification letter to the driver's home address. This letter will typically outline the steps required to maintain the license. This might include submitting a medical report completed by your personal doctor, taking a fresh vision exam, or in some cases, scheduling a brief driving assessment. The danger here does not usually lie in the requirements themselves. Most active seniors are fully capable of passing these checks with flying colors. The real danger lies in the timeline and the paperwork. These official notices are sent through the regular mail, often appearing in plain white envelopes that look remarkably similar to junk mail or generic state correspondence. In a busy household, it is incredibly easy for an envelope like this to be set aside on a counter, placed in a pile of bills to be opened later, or accidentally thrown into the recycling bin with the weekly grocery flyers. But these notices come with strict, non-negotiable deadlines. If the agency does not receive the requested medical forms or test results by the date specified in the letter, they will automatically suspend the license. This suspension is not based on a medical finding that you are unfit to drive. It is a purely administrative suspension, because there was no response. Trying to reverse an administrative suspension after the deadline has Past is a bureaucratic nightmare. It almost always requires hours of waiting on hold, scheduling urgent doctor appointments to get forms signed, paying reinstatement fees, and dealing with the immense stress of not being legally allowed to drive to the grocery store or pharmacy. This entire ordeal can be completely avoided by practicing one simple habit. Make it an absolute rule in your home to open every single piece of mail from any state agency on the very day it arrives. Read every page carefully, highlight any dates or deadlines, and take action immediately. Treat these letters with the highest level of priority, and you will never have to worry about a missed deadline taking away your freedom. The fifth and final change is the one that brings some genuinely fantastic news, and it is something every older driver should know about. While states are indeed tightening their rules in some areas, they are also introducing highly convenient workarounds that can save you a trip to the local office entirely. The key to unlocking these conveniences is your regular eye doctor. In many states that now require a vision test for older drivers, you do not actually have to take that test at the Motor Vehicle Department office. Instead, many states will allow you to have your personal optometrist or ophthalmologist complete a standardized vision form during your routine annual eye exam. Once your doctor signs this form and submits it to the state database, either online or through the mail, the vision requirement for your renewal is officially marked as satisfied. This simple step can completely bypass the need for an in-person visit. In states like Florida and Colorado, older drivers who utilize this method can complete their entire license renewal process online from their own home computer, even past the age where in-person visits would normally become mandatory. This is an incredibly powerful tool that almost nobody takes advantage of simply because they do not know it is an option. The next time you go in for your regular eye checkup, simply ask your doctor's office if they are familiar with the state's driver's license vision verification process. It takes just a minute of their time, but it can save you hours of standing in long lines. Understanding these 5 changes reveals a natural balance that we all must navigate as we get older. The state's desire to keep the public roads safe is a completely valid goal that protects every single one of us, our children, and our grandchildren. At the same time, your desire to maintain your personal independence, your mobility, and your dignity for as long as you are safely able to do so is just as valid. These 2 goals do not have to be in conflict with one another. The secret to balancing them is simply being proactive. The drivers who run into trouble are almost always the ones who ignore the changes, put off their preparation, and get caught completely unprepared on the day their license expires. By taking charge of the process early, you turn what could be a high-stress crisis into a simple, manageable errand. You're not waiting for the state to tell you what to do. You are actively managing your own driving future. You are checking your expiration dates, scheduling your eye exams, keeping your mail organized, and understanding the specific rules of the road in your particular state. This proactive approach gives you complete control over the situation, allowing you to drive with peace of mind and confidence. At this point, you might be wondering how you can easily keep track of all these different moving parts. The good news is that you do not need to be a legal expert or spend hours reading complicated state statutes to protect yourself. You can boil all of this information down into 5 incredibly simple, highly actionable steps that you can start taking today. These steps are designed to fit seamlessly into your normal routine, ensuring that you're always 10 steps ahead of any changes your state might decide to implement. First, go to your purse or wallet right now and take out your actual physical driver's license. Do not rely on your memory. Look at the exact expiration date printed on the card. Write this date down in large, bold letters on your kitchen wall calendar and put a reminder in your smartphone if you use one. Set this reminder for at least 3 months before the actual expiration date. This 3-month buffer is your golden window. It gives you more than enough time to schedule appointments, request forms, and handle any unexpected paperwork without feeling rushed or stressed. Second, spend just 10 minutes on the internet, visiting your state's official Department of Motor Vehicles website. Look for the section specifically dedicated to older drivers or license renewal requirements. Write down the answers to 3 simple questions. At what age does my state require an in-person renewal? At what age does my state require a vision test? And how many years will my new license be valid once I renew it this time? Having these 3 answers written down on a notepad in your home will completely demystify the process and remove any lingering anxiety about what to expect. Third, align your license. Renewal with your regular healthcare routine. If you know you have a renewal coming up in the next year, schedule your annual eye exam to take place a couple of months before that date. When you are at the eye doctor's office, explain that you have a license renewal coming up and ask if they can provide a signed vision capability report for the state. Most eye care clinics do this on a regular basis and will have the necessary forms right on hand. This turns a potentially stressful state eye test into a relaxed professional checkup with a doctor you already know and trust. Fourth, establish a strict mail screening system in your home. It is very common for seniors to receive a large volume of mail, including solicitations, insurance offers, and promotional materials. Amidst all of this paper, it is incredibly easy to overlook an important letter from a state licensing agency. Make a commitment to examine the return address on every single envelope that comes into your home. If you see terms like Department of Motor Vehicles, Secretary of State, Driver Services, or Division of Licensing, open that envelope immediately. Do not put it in a pile to look at over the weekend. Read it, note any response dates, and take action. Fifth, talk openly with your family about your driving goals and plans. One of the most common reasons driving transitions become stressful for families is a lack of communication. By taking the initiative to discuss how you're preparing for your renewals, showing them that you're proactively managing your vision and health checks, and sharing what you have learned about the new rules, you demonstrate that you are in complete control of your mobility. This open communication builds immense trust and ensures that everyone is on the same page, supporting your independence every step of the way. We want to take a brief moment to extend a unique invitation to our dedicated viewers. If you believe that access to clear, straightforward, and honest information is essential for protecting the rights and independence of older Americans, please consider sharing this video on your social media pages or emailing it directly to someone who could benefit from these tips. Additionally, subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell ensures you will never miss our weekly guides on senior finance, health protections, and lifestyle rights. We are incredibly grateful for your support in growing this helpful community. As we look at the bigger picture, it becomes clear that driving is so much more than just a practical way to get from point A to point B. It is a symbol of the self-reliance that you have spent a lifetime building. It is the ability to decide on a beautiful spring afternoon that you want to drive over to the garden center just to look at the flowers. It is the freedom to pick up a friend who is feeling lonely and take them out for a cup of coffee and a warm conversation. It is the peace of mind that comes from knowing that if an emergency arises in the middle of the night, you have the keys to your own car and the legal right to use them. These moments of freedom are precious, and they are worth protecting with a small amount of basic preparation. The new rules being implemented across the country are not designed to be a barrier that locks you out of this freedom. They are simply the new rules of the game. Once you know the rules, you can play the game with complete success. You do not have to be intimidated by the eye charts, the shorter renewal cycles, the in-person requirements, or the medical reviews. You now possess the exact knowledge and strategies needed to navigate every single one of these challenges smoothly and easily. Consider the story of a driver named Thomas, who recently turned 82. Thomas had been driving since he was 16 years old, back when roads were quiet and cars had no seatbelts. When he received a letter in the mail stating that he needed to renew his license in person and pass a vision test, his initial reaction was a mix of frustration and anxiety. He had heard rumors from his friends that the state was trying to take away licenses from anyone over 80, and he worried that this would be the end of his driving days. But instead of letting that worry take over, Thomas decided to take a proactive approach. He called his local eye clinic and scheduled an exam for the following week. During the exam, his doctor adjusted his reading glasses, prescription slightly, and filled out the state's official vision verification form. Armed with this completed form, Thomas scheduled an appointment at the driver's license office for a quiet Tuesday morning. When he arrived, he bypassed the long line for the vision testing machine, handed the clerk his doctor's signed form, took a quick photo, and walked out 10 minutes later with a fully renewed license. Thomas's story is a perfect example of how simple preparation can completely transform an experience. He did not let the rumors or the fear-mongering dictate his actions. He simply learned what was required, took care of it on his own schedule, and maintained his independence without a single moment of unnecessary drama. This is the exact same outcome that is waiting for you, and for every other driver who takes the time to get informed and prepared. It is also incredibly important to share this knowledge with the people around you. So many seniors do not have access to clear, reliable information online. They are often bombarded with scary headlines and misleading advertisements that are designed to make them feel anxious and helpless. You can be the voice of calm and reason in your circle of friends. By sharing what you have learned today about vision tests, in-person renewals, shorter cycles, and doctor-verified forms, you can help lift that burden of worry off the shoulders of the people you care about. As we wrap up our discussion today, let us take a moment to reflect on the incredible value of your personal mobility. Your driver's license is a symbol of a lifetime of hard work, safe decisions, and contributing to your community. It is a key that unlocks the world around you, allowing you to stay connected to the people, places, and activities that bring joy and meaning to your life. The state licensing departments may be updating their policies, but they cannot take away your determination, your intelligence, or your ability to prepare. By putting the simple steps we discussed into practice, you are making a powerful statement. You're declaring that you value your independence, that you respect the safety of your fellow drivers, and that you are fully prepared to meet any challenges that come your way with grace and confidence. You're not a passive spectator in this process. You are the driver of your own destiny. Keep your eyes on the road ahead. Keep your calendar updated, open your mail with purpose, and continue to enjoy the beautiful, free life that you have so richly earned. Thank you for spending this time with us today. And remember to always drive safely, stay informed, and protect the valuable independence that belongs to you.